guys, we are back with another song by Eminem. And which one are we doing today?
So today we're starting the album Revival,
hmm
and the first song is Walk on Water featuring Beyonce.
Okay. So I know it. And I don't love it.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
So I remember anticipating this album to come out back in 2016. I was waiting. It came out in 2017, and it finally came out, and I remember I showed you the whole album. I don't know if we listened to all the songs full, like all the way through, but I played bits, and you weren't thrilled with the whole album at all.
No,
So
yeah.
this will be interesting though, because we're going to actually listen to all of them and break them down like we usually do. So we'll see if your opinion changes.
Yeah, and especially it was years and years and years ago.
Yeah,
So like I have grown since then. So we'll see if my opinion has changed,
for
like you
sure.
said.
Yes. All right.
And this video is sponsored by Carnivore Snacks. So, Carnivore Snacks is a really excellent meat snack. It has only 2 ingredients in it. In this one, it's grass fed beef and Redmond real salt. And it doesn't involve any heat or grill. It says no steak knife needed. And it's not a beef jerky, it's like a dried type of meat. I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, and another important thing to note, it is grass fed, which is I only like having grass-fed meat. See, this is what it looks like. The pieces are a lot bigger, but I didn't want to pull a whole one out. And so delicious. Like, I'm obsessed. I've actually had them and I've eaten them before. We were sponsored by them, and it's literally the most amazing thing ever. I'm sorry, I'm talking with food in my mouth, but like, I can't stop eating it. Literally delicious. And you can use our promo code with Smith for 15% off your order. And the link for that is in the description below. Excuse me. What?
Sure.
Okay. It's so good. It's so good. But you can use that same promo code with Smith for SeatGeek. You will save $20 off your very first order. It's a ticket website where you can get tickets for comedians, concerts, sporting events, whatever, anything you can find on there for sure. We also use them before we were sponsored by them. Super seamless, great experience. Highly recommend it. And you will save $20 off your first order. Links in the description below. And this is also sponsored by Chomps, which is actually beef jerky. So Carnivore Snacks is not beef jerky, and this is beef jerky. So if you are more interested in a beef jerky that is also grass-fed and very delicious, you can use our promo code with Smith for 10% off all orders and an additional 10% off subscriptions. And the link for that is in the description below as well. Check out our Amazon storefront if you feel like you'd like to. It's got a lot of good stuff in there and some sales on some of those items, I believe. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on social media channels if you want to. And that's it from me.
All right. Walk on Water.
I walk on water, but I ain't no Jesus. I walk on water, but only when it freezes.
Why are expectations so high? Is it the bar I set, my arms I stretch, but I can't reach? A far cry from it, or it's in my grasp, but as soon as I grab squeeze, I lose my grip like the flying trapeze. Into the dark I plummet, now the sky's blackening. I know the mark's high, butterflies rip apart my stomach, knowing that no matter what bars I come with, you're gonna heart gripe, and that's a hard fight getting to swallow. So I scrap these, as pressure increases like khakis. I feel the ice cracking because
I walk on water, but I ain't no Jesus. I walk on water, but only when it freezes.
it's the curse.
Okay. All right. So the
Seems
songs,
nice.
it is, so it's interesting. It's a different type of song for Eminem, and I would even say Beyonce.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of Beyonce, so I'm not sure if she has any songs like this, but usually from the radio, her songs are a little more fast-paced.
Yes, this is more of a ballad, and Eminem, he's definitely
Okay.
rapping, but he's almost like speaking. It's almost like spoken word kind
Yeah.
of singing. You know what I mean?
But isn't there a lot of that on this album? Or am I making that
So I
up?
don't know about a lot of that. It's interesting. So I'll be honest, this is probably the album of Eminem's I listened to least out of all of his albums.
Yeah, I would say I don't think I've ever heard you play this song except for when you showed it to me so many years ago.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's slow. It was a single.
Yeah,
Interesting. It was produced by Rick Rubin and Skylar Grey, which is very interesting, right?
interesting.
Yes. So it starts off with Beyonce singing, I walk on water, but I ain't no Jesus. I walk on water, but only when it freezes.
So like that's kind of like
Hmm.
like they're obviously contradictory statements. 'Cause if you're saying you walk on water, like you're like Jesus, you're like God, you're like, up above everyone else, technically, if you're saying that. But then you're saying, but I'm not Jesus, so like I'm not above everyone else. And then saying only when it freezes, so saying like, so you can't, so you're not better than everyone else or not above everyone
Yeah,
else.
exactly. And that's like the theme of the song. Like it's an illusion. I seem to be walking on water, which maybe I am walking
Mhm.
on water, but it's not liquid water. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So like saying I may appear to be like this great thing, but like I'm really not.
Yeah, and then when you hear Beyonce singing the chorus, you could hear Eminem scribbling, right? And he's like crumpling up
Okay.
papers. But if you listen closely, you hear him starting to say the lines of the next verse, and like he says it, and then like he stutters, and then he says a little bit more of the first line, and then he finally gets to it in the following verse. All three choruses have that. So,
Interesting.
yeah, so
Yeah, I heard him say the F word
So
right
yeah,
there.
take note of it on the second time. When we go back and listen the second verse, you'll hear him because he's like hesitant. He keeps trying, and he's like, "Is this right? Like, do you know what I mean?" It's interesting.
Yeah,
So he starts off Eminem's first verse saying, "Why are expectations so high? Is it the bar I set? My arms I stretch, but I can't reach. A far cry from it, or it's in my grasp. But as soon as I grab, squeeze, I lose my grip like the flying trapeze. Into the dark I plummet. Now the sky's blackening. So this is very like it's interesting. So the trapeze, the imagery is interesting, but he's saying, okay, people expect so much of me, right? And
yeah,
maybe it's because I've the work I've
because
done in the
he set the
past.
bar high for himself.
Yes, and he's saying like, oh man, that fucks with me. Like I feel like you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you sort of set yourself up
Yeah, and
for like unreal expectations of you.
Yeah, and he gets more into it throughout the song, like explicitly, like, like that he can't keep up and he doubts himself. He's like, am I ever going to be able to, capture that again? So yeah, the imagery of he's far from it, or so he's either nowhere near it or he's close to it, but as soon as he tries to grab it, he loses grip and falls.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
It's funny. I used to do the trapeze when I was younger.
Yeah,
It's so fun.
that's funny.
Hmm.
So then he continues, he says, I know the mark's high. Butterflies rip apart my stomach, knowing that no matter what bars I come with, you're going to harp, gripe, and that's a hard Vicodin to swallow. So I scrap these. As pressure increases like khakis, I feel the ice cracking because
So it's kind of more in the same, really.
it is. So Mark's eye. So the butterflies rip apart my stomach. So the nervousness, right?
Yeah,
It's interesting. He doesn't just have butterflies in his stomach; they're ripping him apart. You know what I mean? And so this line, no matter what bars I come with, people are gonna, shit on him, say they're not good, they're corny, whatever. They're not as good as they used to be. So, and then I like this is the one like cool bar in my opinion in the song. So as pressure increases, like khakis. So like khakis have the creases in them.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I like that line. And then I feel the ice cracking, which goes back to the chorus, only when it freezes. So
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to walk on water any longer. Do you know what I mean? The ice
exactly.
is cracking. And then because, yes, I walk on water, I know Jesus. All right, we'll pick it up here.
but only when it freezes.
It's the curse of the standard that the first of the Mathers disc set. Always in search of the verse that I haven't spit yet. Will this step just be another misstep to tarnish whatever the legacy, love, or respect I've garnered? The rhyme has to be perfect, the delivery flawless. And it always feels like I'm hitting the mark till I go sit in the car, listen and pick it apart. Like this shit is garbage. God's given me all this, still I feel no different regardless. Kids look to me as a god, this is retarded. If only they knew it's a facade and it's exhaustive. And I try not to listen to nonsense, but if you bitches are trying to strip me of my confidence, mission accomplished. I'm not God sent, Nas, Rakim, Pac, Big, James, Todd Smith, and I'm not Prince. So
I walk on water, but I ain't no Jesus. I walk on water, but only when it freezes. 'Cause I'm only human, just like you, making my mistakes. Oh, if you only knew, I don't think you should believe in me the way that you do. 'Cause I'm terrified to let you down. Oh.
it's true.
So I cut it off there so we could foresee the third verse is, it's true, I'm a Rubik's. If you listened really close, that's what I was pointing to my ears.
Yeah, I could hear something going on, but I couldn't make it
You could
out.
hear him say, it's true, I'm a Rubik. It's true. You could hear that in the background, which again is such a cool thing because he's like, he's
He's
trying
like
to get it
getting
right,
ready. Yeah.
but like he's also, he's
Like it
saying it,
shows his nerve.
he's saying it and stopping and then going again. Like it's like a really cool like thing that they did. You know what I mean?
It shows that he is anxious and nervous.
Yes. So there's an interesting, well, I guess we'll discuss it at the end of the song. But okay, so verse 2, Eminem comes in. He says, it's the curse of the standard that the first of the Mathers disc set. Okay, so that's like a kind of a tongue twister. It's kind of a little play on words.
Yeah, I don't get what he means.
So it's the curse of the standard, right? So the standard, what people come to
Yeah, like
expect from him,
what they want.
that the first of the Mathers disc set. So the Marshall Mathers LP, right? So
Okay.
the first, right? But there's two.
Yeah.
So it would be a set. So the play is on the word set. Do you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
Mathers disc set. So it'd be like 1 and 2,
Oh,
right?
so
But it's the standard that was set.
it's the standard that the Mathers disc
Set.
set.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a cool little
Like
play on the, yeah, no, it's interesting.
it was just hard for me to figure out because I didn't know what he's really talking about.
Yeah, no, I got you. Then he continues, always in search of the verse that I haven't spit yet.
That's a great
I
line.
know.
It really is.
It's awesome. Then he says, will this step just be another misstep, which is cool, the step,
Yeah.
to tarnish whatever the legacy, love, or respect I've garnered? So again, it's like, I mean, it's in the same vein. He's just expressing different points of it or different thoughts about the fact that, like, okay, people really love my old stuff. And
Yeah.
is this new thing that I do, are people gonna literally tarnish the legacy or love or respect?
Mm.
Then he continues, he says, the rhyme has to be perfect, the delivery flawless, and it always feels like I'm hitting the mark till I go sit in the car, listen, and pick it apart like this shit is garbage. So that's, just insecurities or perfectionism. He's comfortable
Yeah.
in the studio, right? Like,
Yeah, like he likes it as he's doing it, but then he listens to it again and he's like, this is horrible. So I can understand that. When this is like a little short story, so sorry, don't kill me. But when I was in high school, I took Saturday classes at FIT and I did fashion design because I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I'd be sitting at home drawing, doing my models and drawing on like little outfits that I had designed. And then I'd be like, this is great, love it. And then I go into class, look at everyone else's, and I'm like, holy shit, mine is garbage.
yeah.
What did I do? Like, I can't show this to anyone. Yeah, I work in clinical research now, so I'm not a fashion designer. But yeah, like that happens.
Yeah, and it's interesting that somebody like as good as him that they have those insecurities. You know what I'm
Well, it's not
saying?
even insecurity. It's like when you're doing it, it seems like it's great. And then you take a step back and you're like, wait, that's not great. Like, it's
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah. So then he continues. He says, God's given me all this. Still, I feel no different regardless. Kids look to me as a god. This is retarded. So he's saying, like, I should be grateful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, literally, God's allowed me to have success in this music industry. I'm rich. I have all this, yet I still feel like, oh,
Like less
I'm not
than.
good enough or I don't
Yeah,
deserve it. And then he's talking about, the kids look up to him as a god. He's like, I'm not a god.
exactly.
He's, So literally, if only they knew, it's a facade and it's exhaustive.
Of course.
So yeah, I try to act like I'm a god, but I don't really feel like a god all the time.
But also like his like Slim Shady persona and like the way he is like
Yeah.
in public, like you can't like that's not him 24/7. He's just like the rest of us where we're just like chilling and just want to be like, quiet or
Yeah,
be like ourselves for a second.
for sure. Then he says, and I try not to listen to nonsense, but if you bitches are trying to strip me of my confidence, mission accomplished.
Aw,
Okay, so
it's so sad.
I don't know how I don't know if I can express what I'm trying to say, what I want to say here. So Eminem's always had this underdog thing, right? That you doubt me, and he's awesome in that, right?
Mainly because he's a white rapper.
So yeah, that's that 100%. And like the way he was raised, like he just always feels like the world's against him, and like he raps about that in his music, right? But this line in particular is so he's usually like, "You guys are doubting me, but I'm gonna show you," right? So this is like the flip side of that coin, where he's saying, I don't have confidence, like I don't think I'm that good," and
Yeah.
it's a different note that he's hitting than he normally does in his lyrics. And I think to some people, this is the type of thing that put them off for this song in the album.
Oh, like showing his insecurities and how
So
and such. Is that
so
what you mean?
yes, I do, but it's not as clear as that because again, Eminem's talked about every aspect of his life up until this point, you know what I mean? And that like, all his insecurities and everything, but
Yeah.
there's something about the way this is laid out that it feels different hearing it. You know what I mean? Like you were like, "Oh, like
Well, this isn't like talking about how he's the underdog and he's gonna, fight. This is kind of like when you're, I don't know, when you see a kid getting bullied and they're just like, okay,
yeah,
okay, like you feel bad.
yeah." I think that turned some people off, even though he's expressing his truth like he always did. You know what I mean? Like how he feels in the moment. So it's interesting. Then he continues. He says, "I'm not God sent. Nas, Rakim, Pac, Big, James Todd Smith, and
That's
I'm
your
not
name minus
Prince."
the Todd.
Yeah, I know. That's LL Cool J.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm not Prince. So, and then it goes back into the chorus. So yes, he's saying he feels that all these rappers are like gods, but he doesn't. He's not a god. You know what I mean? He's not, or
yeah.
God sent, at least I should say.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm not the same as them. You know what I mean?
Like not on par with them.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Oh, sorry, I forgot. We actually did this,
Oh
and
yeah, we did.
Beyonce's little bridge. So she does the chorus, then she says, "Because I'm only human, just like you, making my mistakes. Oh, if you only knew."
We just made a mistake.
Yes. "I don't think you should believe in me the way that you do, because I'm terrified to let you down."
So saying she just wants to be taken as a human, like a regular person who has flaws, faults. And because when you look at someone as not being a human, anytime they do something wrong, people freak out. Like they can't handle it.
Yeah, of course.
So if you can just accept that everyone's human whenever they do something wrong, because everyone's going to do something wrong, it won't be that shocking or disturbing to
Yeah,
you, and you won't be so mean about it.
yeah, for sure. And it mirrors Eminem's verses. That he's scared that people look at him like this because he feels like he's gonna literally let them down and prove to them that it's not true.
Hmm.
All right, here we go.
'Cause I'm terrified to let you down. Oh.
It's true, I'm a Rubik's. a beautiful mess. At times juvenile, yes. I goof and I jest. A flawed human, I guess, but I'm doing my best to not ruin your expectations and meet 'em. But first, the speed 'em verse. Now Big Sean, he's going too fast. Is he gonna shout or curse out his mom? There was a time I had the world by the balls eating out my palm. Every album song I was spazzing the fuck out on, and now I'm getting clowned and frowned on. But the only one who's looking down on me that matters now's Deshaun. Am I lucky to be around this long? Begs the question though, especially after the methadone is yesterday fades and the Dresden home is burnt to the ground and all that's left of my house is lawn. The crowds are gone and it's time to wash out the blonde. Sales decline, the curtains drawn, they're closing the set. I'm still poking my head from out behind. And everyone who has doubt, remind. Now take your best rhyme, outdo it, now do it 1,000 times. Now let them tell you the world no longer cares or gives a fuck about your rhymes. And as I grow out of sight, out of mind, I might go out of mind. Cause how do I ever let this mic go without a fight when I made a fucking tightrope out of twine? But when I do fall from these heights, though I'll be fine. I won't powder cry or spiral down a whine, but I'll decide if it's my final bow this time around. Cause
I walk on water, but I ain't no Jesus. I walk on water, but only when it freezes. Cause I'm only human, just like you. I've been making my mistakes, so if you only knew, I don't think you should believe in me the way that you do. Cause I'm terrified to let you down. Oh, if I walked on water, I would drown.
Cause I'm just a man, but as long as I got a mic, I'm godlike. So me and you are not alike, bitch. I wrote Stan.
Okay. So I can totally see why people are not super crazy about this song because, like you said, it's kind of like, well, first off, it's kind of like accusing every single one of his fans that they think of him like this right now. And I'm sure anyone who's like, no, I still love Eminem. Why are you telling me that I feel this way about you? And I could see that pissing them off.
Yeah.
And then I could also see them getting mad, like, you're a big celebrity, blah, blah, blah. Like, how old was he when he wrote this song?
So mid 40s.
Like, usually people aren't rapping at that point,
Yeah.
you know? Like, most other people have either stopped rapping altogether, moved into different things. Like, you know, like Snoop was doing the shows with like Martha Stewart,
Yeah.
things like that. You know what I'm talking about? So, like, they've done different things or moved into different places, and it's just what happens. And I feel like people probably look at it as he's like trying to cling on to something and they think he should just let go. But I think he's been doing fine. I don't know. I don't know.
So he's responding to that for sure. He's acknowledging that people are saying those things about him. But like you were saying, not everybody had no, she's
Carnivore snacks attract puppies.
Yes.
They're that good. Ow.
So
Dude. My hair.
so yeah, it's interesting. He's definitely responding to the criticisms that, people are sending his way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go through this third verse
Okay.
quick. He said, "Oh, you gotta get closer to the mic.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be able to hear you." So third verse, he says, "It's true. I'm a Rubik's, a beautiful mess." Again, we heard him saying those things in the chorus. So obviously Rubik's Cube, I'm sure everybody knows what that is. It's got all the different spots and it's crazy looking if it's
Yeah,
not
like,
done.
yeah, and unless you know how to do it, you're not doing
Yeah.
it.
Then he says, "At times juvenile, yes. I goof and I jest. A flawed human, I guess. Jest." So I was trying to think if it's jest was a play on just. I goof and I jest a flawed human. I think it is.
I guess.
So he said, "I goof and I jest," meaning he jokes around.
Yeah.
But you could almost take it, "I goof and I just a flawed human, I guess." Do you know what I mean? It's playing on that.
Yeah.
Then he says, but I'm doing my best to not ruin your expectations and meet 'em. But first, the speed 'em verse. Now, Big Sean, he's going too fast. Is he going to shout or curse out his mom? So he's responding again to criticism. So I think this is the thing that kind of what you were alluding to. He's obviously seeing what the internet in particular is saying about him,
Yeah.
right? And then he's also seeing that he used to sell like crazy, he was the number one artist. And, when he was released his last couple albums prior to this, that wasn't necessarily the case with all his songs like it used to be. So he's looking at that data and then trolls and shit on the internet.
Yeah, you can't
And
do that.
so I think that's part of the thing that people didn't like. But so what he's referring to, the speed and verse, which we did, people didn't like how fast he was rapping, and which I love that. It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't like that, but then some people do. Like, you can't look at the one comment that talks shit about you and ignore like the 50 that talk well about you.
Yes. And then Big Sean, I think he's referring to No Favors. Is that the one that was out at that time? Either way, it
Yeah.
was the same we're gonna have to react to that. But it was the same type of complaint. They didn't like the way he was rapping, the choppiness, the speed, all the different stuff. So just people complaining. And then literally, is he going too fast or he's going to shout or curse out his mom? So that's what people say. Oh, Eminem, he just raps fast. Oh, he's just cursing and cursing, saying shit about his mom.
Well, I mean, he does do those things,
He
but that's
does,
not
but
all he
no,
does.
and he does those things well. You know what I mean? Then he says, there was a time I had the world by the balls, eating out my palm. So again, this one
When
was
he
just,
first came on the scene, he
yeah,
was younger,
for sure.
you know.
Then he says, every album song I was spazzing the fuck out on, and now I'm getting clowned and frowned on. But the only one who's looking down on me that matters now's Deshaun. So again, the same type of thing that he was always killing it, and now he's actually dealing with people talking shit, and like, oh, this stuff's not good. It's not what it used to be.
It's not even that it's not what it used to be, it's just things change so much. Like now everyone's into like that other style of rap and
Yeah.
everything is just very different. So you're gonna have people who just started listening to rap with that newer style of rap and they'll listen to Eminem and be like, this is old, you know? It's just it's just happens with
So,
times.
well, that's what it is. His fan base grew up with him. And like you
Yeah,
mentioned, hip hop changed. I don't like most new rap at all. And, the lyrics aren't as important as it used to be. It's all about the feel, you know what I mean? And the
yeah,
beat and the way
which
it
is like how
sounds.
I listen to
I know,
music.
but you don't even like it as much either, which is interesting.
It depends. I haven't been listening to the radio much or like looking up new music lately,
Yeah.
so I don't really know much new music,
Yeah.
but like
Mm.
I do like a decent amount of it. Like I really liked who is Godzilla again? Who's on I can't remember
Eminem.
his name.
Oh, Juice World. You like
Yes,
Juice
I
World,
liked
yeah.
him a lot.
I liked him too. He was great.
Yeah,
He actually like rapped though and had lyrics and shit.
that's true. But he is
So
technically considered newer.
yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so he's talking about people talking shit about him, and then he does a turn of phrase with the only one looking down on, meaning the people that are like you suck, and then literally looking down from heaven, proof, right? And then he says, "Am I lucky to be around this long?" Begs the question though. So again, he's like kind of acknowledging like, "Oh, should I be fortunate that anybody wants to still hear my music?" Do you know what I
I
mean?
would say I mean it sounds mean, but I would say yes.
Well, that's what he says, begs the question though, meaning like
I would say yes.
all your the criticism and the shit you're feeling about certain people not listening, it does beg the question like, shouldn't you just be grateful that anybody wants to listen to you? You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
he's got
because you have to think about the rappers who came out around the same time he did. Like have you heard
Jay-Z,
anything
that's it.
from Ja Rule?
No, that's what I'm saying. Jay Z is like the only one I can think of. You
And is
know,
Jay-Z still putting out?
not as much, not as much.
But like Eminem has been much more putting out
Yeah,
more music like as he's gotten older and people still listen to it.
yeah, for sure.
Like you're not gonna have the appeal that you had when you were in your 20s.
Yeah,
It's just not gonna happen, but you have appeal, so like you're doing something right.
yeah, and that's what he's acknowledging. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's saying that. He's like begs the question, and then he continues, especially after the methadone, as yesterday fades and the Dresden home is burnt to the ground, and all that's left of my house is lawn.
That's sad. That's his childhood home,
The
right?
one on the cover of the Marshall Mathers LP 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody burnt it down.
Oh, so like literally.
Literally, yeah, the house doesn't exist anymore. So, and then obviously the methadone. He's like, it begs the question: am I lucky to be around this long, especially since I almost died? You know what I mean? But yeah, that's like symbolism. It's interesting of his childhood home being burnt to the ground. You
Yeah.
know?
Sad.
Yeah, and then he goes into this little scheme.
Was it burnt down like by accident, like by the prior
No, I
owner?
think it was. I don't know if it was the owner. I know someone was trying to turn it into a museum. I don't
A
remember who.
museum.
Yeah,
Eminem Museum?
yeah, and yeah, somebody burnt it down. So then he continues. He says, "The crowds are gone, and it's time to wash out the blonde. Sales decline. The curtains drawn. They're closing the set. I'm still poking my head from out behind."
It's
It's
funny that he says wash out the blonde because like I'm a girl. I've had my hair whitened in the past. You can't really wash out blonde. You have to like dye over it. That
yeah.
was funny.
Yeah, so he's saying, okay, there's no more people listening. You don't have your Slim Shady gimmick anymore, and not as many people are buying. Nobody's there for the show, so it's the curtains. We hear this through his whole career.
Yeah,
Curtain
curtains
call,
closing,
the
curtains
encore,
opening.
yes. So he's acknowledges that like his life and his career's like a performance.
Yeah.
And then he says, they're closing the set. I'm still poking my head out from behind. So like he's not ready for it to be done. You know what I
No,
mean?
yeah.
And then he says, and everyone who has doubt, remind. So remind people who doubt you. Then he says, now take your best rhyme, outdo it. Now do it 1,000 times. Now let him tell you the world no longer cares or gives a fuck about your rhymes. So, so this is kind of like the criticism of the fans. That line, I take this as take your best rhyme, outdo it, and then do it 1,000 more times. You know what I mean? It's like you're expecting so much. Then he says, and as I grow out of sight, out of mind, I might go out of mine. I like that. Out of his mind.
Yeah.
Because how do I ever let this mic go without a fight? So he always wants to rap. When I made a fucking tightrope out of twine. So that's cool.
Mhm.
Twine, it was obviously very thin,
Yeah.
but he managed to tightrope walk. He says, but when I do fall from these heights, though, I'll be fine. I won't pout or cry or spiral down or whine, but I'll decide if it's my final bow this time around. Because,
And then it goes into the chorus and then she finishes off a little different, right?
yeah, so real quick about this, he's obviously saying when it is done, when his time is done, he's gonna go, but he's not gonna listen to what the fans are
Yeah,
saying,
he'll
and
go on
he's
his own
he's yeah he's
time.
gonna decide whether he's done making music. And then yes, like you said, Beyonce does her lines. She does that same little bridge because I'm terrified to let you down, and then she says, if I walked on water I would drown.
So meaning she actually can't.
Yes, and we're not gods. And then this is so funny.
Yeah, and then he just
This is
seems angry.
just undoes the whole song effectively, which I love. He says, "Cause I'm just a man, but as long as I got a mic, I'm godlike. So me and you are not alike, bitch. I wrote Stan."
Yeah.
So again, that's just like the opposite of the whole
Yeah,
song.
exactly. It's like he just got mad and he's just like switched real quick. He's
Yep.
like, fuck all of you.
They said, "Bitch, I wrote Stan," which I actually like that line.
It's
Some people
funny.
think they hate it. They think that like that's corny, but it is a masterpiece, that song.
Yeah.
All right, so Walk on Water.
So I don't dislike it as much as I did when I first heard it.
Yeah,
Would I listen to it on my own time? Probably not. Do I feel like he really needed to write this song? I don't know. Because, everyone still listens to his music, at least people like in our age group.
yeah,
I don't know about the younger kids, I can't speak for them, but millennials probably still listening to his music.
yeah. So I agree. I don't listen to this song like often at all, like rarely, but it's way better than I first thought it was, right?
Yeah.
I've always known it was like good. Again, so that you didn't like this album. It's my least favorite of his albums, but there's still a decent amount of stuff I enjoyed on it. This is a really good song. It's a different angle, and he wrote this because he's obviously feeling this way. You know what I mean? This is, how he sometimes does songs just to have fun and show off his rhyming skills.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those songs. You know what I mean?
No.
This is like
It's a
he's like, I'm
message.
pouring my heart out to the
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 fans.
fans, and it's got to kill him that this song
That it
as a
wasn't
single. And
receptive.
yeah, I know. And he kind of, I guess, learned his lesson, although it's not a lesson he probably wanted to learn. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think it's great. It's like, he's being vulnerable,
Yeah, I
and
mean, he is still really popular. Like, we do a reaction channel here,
I know.
obviously, and he's the most popular artist in reaction videos. He is the one everyone wants to see the most of.
Yeah, and they still listen to his music. Like it's the
Yeah.
number one, song and shit.
And
Like
wasn't he
artist,
the number one artist on Spotify?
something like that. I don't know
He
if he was
was
number
literally
one.
the
He was
most
high.
listened to.
Yeah, he's like crazy.
Like, people are like,
They still love him.
yeah,
Yes. But yeah, so this is interesting time capsule, which you're gonna see. This is good. Like this whole album, it's gonna bring us back to
20.
27. Donald Trump, Black Lives Matter, policing, like all that shit. It's a time capsule, and this is Eminem where he was mentally at that time period. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely a very good song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
right.
All right. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out Carnivore Snacks. You won't regret it. Chomps and SeatGeek. Follow us on all social media channels, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See, bye.
Bye.